Tonight we are talking about sharp, pointy, stabby things. And what I wanted to talk to you about is actually home defense with a sword. And the reason I'm kind of versed in this is I spent 4 years down in Central America. And down there in Costa Rica and Panama, you are not allowed to have guns. So protecting yourself is rather, crazy. But a lot of people down there actually use machetes as home protection. And so it's a very popular thing. And then the people who are down there are very well versed in the machete because they use it every day as a tool down there. A lot of people, that's how they actually mow the lawns, is with their machetes and trim their bushes and do all kinds of stuff. So the machete is a very common tool down in Central and South America. But that was one of the primary, because here I was coming from Texas, moving on down there, and I was just so used to having guns and all this other stuff that when I got down there, I found out that I couldn't. And so that is one of the things that really drove me. I've always had swords. I've always practiced with swords and played with them and everything like that. But down there, it just increased my desire to practice more, learn more, do more with swords and stuff. So why swords as a home defense weapon? I mean, they're literally second to guns. If you have a gun in the house and everything, that's a great way, to protect yourself and everything. But again, there's a lot of areas that don't allow guns, or countries that don't allow guns, or people who just don't want to have a gun. And so the best thing is, and the second thing is a sword. And if you see a bad guy with a gun, you may want to rethink the strategy if he's coming into your house. But the interesting thing is this is your home. This is your castle. So you know all the nooks, you know all the crannies, you know all the ambush spots and everything. And so utilizing a sword to defend yourself and defend your home is actually rather practical. There's a number of articles. Do a search on home defense with katanas, and you'll see article after article after article of people using swords to actually protect their homes and everything. So it is a very, very good weapon, and it's very disabling. So that's another point. It disables the attacker and everything. Interesting thing, and this is why people are so afraid of blades versus bullets. Not very many people have been shot, so they don't know what it feels like to be shot, whereas a lot of people have cut their hands, cut their fingers, cut other things. A cut hurts, and so people know what it feels like to be cut. Not very many people know what it was like to be shot. And so when you whip out that sword and everything in a home defense situation, people are going to really think twice, because you've got this big, long blade that's very sharp, and they don't want to get cut. So a lot of times, home invaders and actually will just run. So it's a very, very good form of disabling people. And then on top of that, one of the primary problems of home protection with a gun is that a lot of times the criminal is going to come back and sue you, or the cops are going to get you in trouble, or so forth, because did you make a proper, shot? Did you make a proper kill, and all this other stuff like that? Because if you shoot the guy in the back, then, you can actually go to jail for that because he was running away. So, there's a whole bunch of rules and everything like that when it comes to gun defense, and it's always a mess. Whereas, if you are defending your home with a blade, it's a very close quarters weapon. It's really seen as a defensive weapon, not an offensive weapon in the home. And so this guy was protecting his home with a sword. It's not like he was running after him, trying to go get him or anything like that. So the odds is that you are going to be easily seen in the court system and the police system and all that other stuff as defending your home, where using a gun can get rather sketchy at times. And so knives swords are an excellent form of self-defense. And then another reason why I really like swords and sharp, pointy, stabby things is that they're easy to buy and there are so many options that you can get out there. What we're going to do a little bit later, I'm going to show you some of the swords that I have and some of the things that I use what are some of my favorite swords. Brian says, where can you buy a real usable sword? Amazon. And in fact, I've got some links. I'm going to be sending out an article to the Kilted Insiders with solid links, and especially the swords that I use, because I love my swords. But type of sword, and I am a big fan of the katana. Now, this is a Musashi Eternity Wheel, just because the Eternity Wheel, but this is a 16 differentiated hardened steel katana. You can see the waves in it, and a differentially hardened katana means that they painted clay right here on those waves, and what that does, or they painted clay here, whoops, painted clay here and exposed the blade. So when they fire the blade, the metal on the back is softer versus the metal on the edge, which is harder. So this is a 1060 differentially hardened katana. And this runs about $120 on Amazon. This is called a Musashi Eternity Wheel. But if you do a search on Musashi 1060 differentially hardened swords, you'll see them. And these are handmade. They are from China, but they come from this one sector of China that is really known for their sword making, and they do make quality stuff. So this is actually a pretty quality sword for the money. And so it's razor sharp. It's basically a 3-foot razor blade. But I like katanas, one, because you have two handholds. And I'm a big fan of two hands versus one hand. Another sword that I really love, and I actually purchased it specifically for home defense, is this is called the Dark Sentinel, and it's made by Paul Chin, Case Hanway. You have to go to the Case Hanway site to get this. This is considered a fantasy sword, but the great thing is really long handle, a lot of places to hold on to it. You can, get down here, get up there. You can get some good swinging power. There's some good nubs on here for handhold. But the blade is really light, super, super light, somewhat scimitarish, somewhat katana style. But this is a good stainless steel. Now it's not going in. Come on, get in here. Stainless steel blade, super light. And this is one of the reasons why I really like this for home defense, is because it is super light, easy to carry around. And now the negative is it is rather big, and when you're choosing swords and everything, you really want to make sure that you are able to not hit things on the ceiling. So I like two-handed swords. Another option, and I just brought this out just for the heck of it, is this is a 1.5-hand bastard sword. So, crash and burn, got swords everywhere. But this is a 1.5-hand bastard sword. The negative I don't like about this is really cool sword, but it is double-edged. And with a single-edged blade, you're able to put your hand at least on the back of the blade and do some techniques with the back of the blade, holding the back of the blade. This you can't, because this is a double-edged sword. And so it will work, and you can do a 1.5 hand and use the pommel as extra leverage and things. So this is possibly a viable option. I don't really like it because it is double-edged. Now, continuing on, so it's I also want to make an honorable mention. I was trying to find it and I can't find it. Cold Steel makes an incredible machete, and it's called the Gladius. Now, these machetes are not really machetes. These are kind of poor man swords, but they make what's called the Gladius, and it runs about $35. It is a short sword, and this is a perfect home defense weapon. Excuse me, very pointy, big knob on the back so you can slam people with it and everything. Very great. It is an incredible sword for home defense, and I wish I could find it. I couldn't find it. Maybe next shows or somewhere down the road, I'll show you my Gladius. Once I do find it, it's packed away. But it's a rather short sword, but it is a replica of the Roman gladius swords that they used in Rome, which were an effective fighting tool. So, great sword, but very effective, very good. Now, swords that I don't care for, and I know probably some of you have some of these, are basket hilts. This is a basket hilt sword. This is a back sword, meaning there's only one edge on the front edge, no edge on the back. So it's called a back sword, and this is actually called Cromwell's back sword because it's an exact replica of Oliver Cromwell's sword that is sitting in, I believe, the Tower of London. I'm not totally sure, but the negative is that you've got only one hand, and so you've got one hand to fight with and everything. And unless you've really got strong wrists and you've really trained with this thing, this puppy is a beast. This basket hilt, gosh, this basket hilt probably weighs about a good 1.5 pounds or so. Great for punching and everything. Not very effective for really swinging and controlling your swing. That's the key, is controlling your swing. Because a lot of times you're going to be in a high stress situation, and something like this could be taken away from you. And so I'm not a big fan of basket hilts. And so I know a number of you have these. They're beautiful swords. They look great with kilts. Is one of the reasons why I have mine. But it isn't a very effective home defense weapon, in my opinion, and at least with my training. I've always been training with Japanese katanas. So I've done Ido. I do something called backyard cutting. And that's where you go outside and hit water bottles and cut water bottles and do different patterns of cutting water bottles and stuff like that. It's great practice with your sword and things. And then finally, I just wanted to show you this. This is a wakizashi. Now, this is a great home defense weapon. Now, again, negative is it's one-handed, but this is super light, very easy. A lot of hacking and everything. So this is basically a big knife. But this is a wakizashi, and good blade, and this is again by Case Hanway, and this one runs about $300. The bastard sword runs about $243 if you can find it. The Dark Sentinel is about $175, and again the Katana, the Musashi Katana series, and it's made by a company called Musashi, is running about $125, $124. And around there. And again, I'll put all these links and stuff. So you've got your sword and all that other stuff. How do you start doing it? How do you start training? And this is what I wanted to also show you. Several things that you can get. This is made by Cold Steel. This is called a Subrito. I'm trying to Spanish ways, but Subrito. And it's basically a big heavy stick. And you just sit there and you practice your chops. Do your chopping. And it's weighty, it's heavy, but you can do all your sword moves. I can't really do anything here in the kitchen. I've got my stove and everything. I'll be knocking everything over. But this is an excellent tool. This runs probably about $35 or so. You buy it on Amazon. But this is a great tool to practice your sword. So you can practice your chops, your overheads, your underhands, all these things. But you can practice your chops and build up your muscle memory. Start building up your muscles for that and everything. But excellent training tool, and this could also be used as a home defense weapon. So you can bludgeon somebody with this puppy. Not going to do any cutting, but you're going to do some really good bludgeoning. But this is an excellent training tool to use to kind of help you get moving forward so that you can defend your home in the event of a break-in. Another training tool that you may look into, and this is also by Cold Steel. You can see a pattern here, can't you? But this is a Cold Steel training katana, full length. And both of these are made of polypropylene. And so pretty much indestructible. You can bash people's heads in. Now this is a lot lighter, but this weighs about the same as my actual katana. So you can do, practice all your moves and practice chopping and everything so that you are not practicing with your live blade. You don't want to be practicing with your live blade until you get more confident and much better, because you don't want to cut yourself. You cut yourself with one of these puppies and you're going to the hospital. I've seen videos of people mucking around and everything, not knowing what they're doing. And what they often do is they cut, go down, and then they tap their leg. And it just slices right into the leg. So unless you know what you're doing, unless you've practiced with your sword and practiced with your training aids and everything, I would not really practice with a live blade. So practice with practice ring. Now, one final other thing that you can use for practice, and this is my Ido Blade. Ido is the Japanese art of drawing the sword. And what you do is there's different katas, if you want to call it that. And it's draw the sword, do a chop and everything, return the sword. And so this is a metal katana, but its edge, it's a dull edge. And it's got a little sharpie point, but it is a good, training aid, and it is good for learning how to draw and take out and do your forms and so forth. But this is my Ido Blade, and again, another good training aid. This runs about $128 as well, all stainless steel. I believe Musashi also makes this as well, but great training aid. You could use this for a home defense weapon, it's pointing, that's about it, that's all. Let's see, you can point there, but the edge, there's no edge to it whatsoever. And so it's a good training aid, and that's really what it is. But this is an Ido Blade. So what else can I show you here? I think that's everything. Let's see. Prices are, again, so this is Musashi, and this is $124. This is the Dark Sentinel sword by Case Hanwei, Paul Chen Case Hanwei, and this runs about $175. This bastard sword is also made by Case Hanwei, but it's a subdivision called Red Dragon Armory, and it is $243. And then this is a Wakizashi by Case Hanwei, Pao Chen. This is actually the Raptor series. I have the Raptor series. I almost brought my Raptor sword up with me. It is a full battle sword. These are great cutters and great choppers and everything, but my Case Hanwei Raptor is actually a battle sword, and it stands about another 6 inches above my regular Musashi chopping or cutting sword. This is my backyard cutting sword. So, but this is the one that I'm used to. This is the one I love. Very good. I love it. I know it. And so, it's just a great sword. And for $123, very, very dependable. And if you want to look up some videos, I've got a video on it. Do your Musashi differentially hardened katana review, and you'll probably see my video. It's got like a bazillion views already and everything. But really, really great sword. And a lot of people who are backyard cutters and who practice tamiri or tatami, do tatami mats and everything, use Musashi. And so they're very affordable, very good, great blade to have. And it's inexpensive too. So that is everything, folks. Tonight's show was swords, home defense weapons. When you don't want to use a gun. So this is a very good, strong alternative, and a very viable alternative. So I hope you enjoyed it. Hope it was beneficial for you. Again, if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, please contact me. I'll be glad to help you. If you have any ideas for a show that you're interested in, contact me, let me know, and I'll see what I can do to do a show just for you. So that's everything. My name's Raymond Moore. We'll see you. Goodbye. God bless. And Kilted.